What is the optimal length for a memoir? Is it 80,000 words, 50,000, 90, 40, 60? What is the sweet spot for your memoir? Hello, I'm Brenda. This is Write Your Story, and I love to help you to write your memoir. So what is the optimal length for a memoir? How many words should your memoir be? What sort of memoir are you writing? The form of the memoir you are going to write will actually help to dictate the length of your memoir. So for example, if you write a short memoir, the memoir length is anywhere between 20,000 and 50,000 words. So what qualifies as a short memoir? Short memoirs are often memoirs that do introspective work or touch on subjects. And so very often short memoirs are well suited for grief memoirs when you're focusing really on one event that has caused grief in your life and your grieving process, or perhaps spiritual questions that you're asking and grappling with. And those are really focused introspective memoirs. And short memoirs work really well for that because the memoir is focused on that niche topic and is not necessarily going to cover a wide spectrum of your life. That was the memoir I wrote. I wrote a short memoir, and the actual length of the story itself was over 46,000 words. The entire book is 50,000 words. So mine really did fit the niche market of the short memoir. So for you, you may be writing a regular standard length memoir, in which case, what is the length of that memoir? So let's just give you the short answer. The short answer with regard to that is if you're looking for a sweet spot, shoot for 80,000 words. But if you write 70,000 words, that's perfectly fine, as is 90,000 words. 60,000 is also okay. You will need to look at what your content is and what you're writing about. And if 60,000 or 65 or 69 is really going to work for you and your memoir, it's not to say that it's wrong. But when you're working towards 80,000, you've kind of got a benchmark. If you come below that benchmark by 10,000, no problem. If you come below that benchmark by 15,000, perhaps you want to look at beefing up a story or two. But don't beef up stories simply to get to your word count. That is also now a really good time to work with a developmental editor or to have an alpha reader who will look at your manuscript and give you some idea as to where you need to actually perhaps add in some more work, add in some more description, beef up a scene. To do it just for the sake of it means that you're going to end up with losing momentum in your story. If, on the other hand, you write over 100,000 words, that will be a signal to you that you should look at your manuscript and see about scaling it back. Something to think about when deciding on the length of your memoir is your publishing option. If you are looking for a regular publisher, a traditional publisher, then I would suggest you shoot for the 80,000 words and go from there. If you're going to do your own publishing or you're going to do hybrid publishing, you will have more leeway with regard to your word count. But your writing style can also affect how many words you write. I know someone who is writing a really fabulous memoir using vignettes. When you write vignettes, the chances are your memoir will be shorter in word count. It's the form, the style of vignette writing. Each chapter is a standalone vignette that can be anywhere from a few lines to 3-4 pages. It's entirely up to the topic you're writing in that chapter with that vignette. So your form of writing will help to dictate the number of words that you write. If you're doing a sketch story format, you could get to 80,000 words, but you may find that that's not as easy because the whole point with sketch story and vignette is that you don't expand and build out the story as much. And so vignettes and sketch story leave a lot to the reader to read between the lines. That is going to reduce your word count. So choose your format, decide on an estimated word count, and then start writing. You can hone your word count in the editing process. That's when you'll look down at the form of your story, everything you have, and decide whether your word count is over, under, or right on. We want to always shoot for engaging and quick paced. Now, quick paced doesn't mean fast. It means that it actually just keeps the reader moving along, that they're turning the page and they want to know what happens. It doesn't have flat spots. It doesn't have moments where the reader is bored and now saying, okay, where does the story pick up again? So that's all important and considerations to think about when you consider the word count of your memoir. Have you written your memoir, and what is your word count? Or do you have an idea already of the word count you're going to shoot for in your memoir? I'd love to hear about it. Do put it in the comments below. I'll see you in my next video as we continue to look at how to write our memoirs.